How to control your mind as a highly sensitive person. My name is Laurel. I'm a highly sensitive person myself. Went through all my life dealing with a lot of mental and emotional BS to the point where I had to try to figure out what was actually going on here. And now to the point where I'm very connected to universal intelligence. So a lot of these things I just understand now. So in this video, we about to be breaking down the program, specifically thoughts within the program, but our thoughts, our stories that we tell ourselves, the narratives that we hold, just the BS that we think about as far as the outside world and all the possibilities are what create the program. So we get so used to running on a specific program that it gets lodged in our subconscious mind. And then we believe that we need to continuously run on this program to the point where we don't even recognize that we are running on a program, where we're just constantly in our mind thinking of narratives and these stories that we gathered about our past and how it controls how we think about the world and ourselves in the present and going forward, right? It's all just a program. The program is an entity itself that you created based on the stories and the narratives that you decided to hold on to and to embed within your subconscious. So you know how I like to do. All right, first we about to get into a little bit of some whiteboard action. So to start, we have the mind, all right, which is yours, and we have thoughts. Thoughts which create, as you know, the program. Thoughts create the program, and thoughts want to enter your mind. You don't always control the thoughts that enter your mind. You can be thinking intrusive or thoughts that you really don't want to be thinking about whatever certain situation. You don't always have control over the thoughts that come into your mind. However, within that, you can select which thoughts you choose to give more of your energy to. With that being said, what thoughts want to do, all right, think of thoughts as their own separate entities, their own separate energies, right? Within themselves. The job of the thought is to get you to pay attention to it, because the mind, your mind, is the most valuable thing to this world and all the entities and all the possibilities that exist within this world. So the reason why you have a lot of thoughts and they just enter your mind and they just come in and they feel like they want to take a hold of your mind in a way is because they want to get your mind to focus on them, because they cannot exist without your mind's power. So it is your power that the thoughts, these entities, these thought forms, they want. They're going to try to enter your mind field as a thought and get you to hold on to it, to focus on it. Because once you focus on it, you're giving that thought power. You're giving that thought existence, essentially. Now, I'm not saying it's like it's a parasite and it's a bad thing and they want to, it's just what it is. You are very powerful. All right. There's a lot of things in this world that want your mind power, your fourth dimension, as you should know if you've seen any previous videos on this channel. So that is what a thought wants to do. Programs are the thoughts that you have chosen to hold on to and turn into beliefs, right? That you now run on, or they can be stories and narratives about what's going on with your current situation, right? And the things that you have been seeing, that you have downloaded into your subconscious. Thoughts are competing for your attention. It's a lot of thoughts that exist within the ether realm, and they all compete for your attention. And it's all about what thoughts you choose to take seriously. A thought can come in your head, but if you don't reply to that thought, if you don't subscribe to it, it will eventually just leave. Now, within that, you can choose which thoughts you will like to hold in your head. So what I want to essentially do in this video is bring your awareness to the program, bring your awareness to this concept of how not to let thoughts control your mind, and instead to pick and choose which thoughts you want based on the frequency of which you want to vibrate at that time. Now, it's nothing wrong with letting thoughts freely just come in, and sometimes you might give into a specific thought. There's nothing wrong with that. However, watch which thoughts, which beliefs you are downloading into your subconscious, because it all matters in terms of crafting a more peaceful inner verse, that inner state of being, your inner world. So beware of the program. There's really nothing to this slide. I just wanted to make this because I thought it'd be cool to show, it's pretty cool, right? Sorry, whatever, we'll move on. So the biggest question here that I want you to ask yourself, you can ask it right now. Is your mind at peace? Is my mind at peace? If the answer is anything other than yes, you are letting the program take over right now. Now, keep in mind that you are choosing to let the program take over. That is specifically your choice. It is not forcing you to do so. You are choosing to let the program take over. So if your mind is running on a program, that means you have chosen to adopt, right? Because all you're doing is adopting, in this case, a certain mindset. You're adopting the program that you created for yourself. So basically what you're doing is adopting a lot of stories, narratives, worries, anxieties that you really don't need to, but your mind might have gotten addicted to thinking about these things, right? Even things within the past, just a lot of noise going on within the mind. That is how you can recognize that you are running on a program, because the only thing that really should exist within your inner verse is this. If you are a person that don't want to have a peaceful mind, then I don't really know what to say about that, but yeah, we're going to assume that you are a sane, a mentally healthy person in the sense that you want to have a peaceful mind, right? So if you could subscribe to anything, it would be this, that you will hold into your inner verse. You already have this. This is the root of where your mind is at. The only thing that takes you out of this is the program, is you choosing to subscribe and adopt these modes of thinking instead. That is when you know you're running on a program. All you have to do is stop running on a program. Realize that none of this actually matters. Be aware of the program. That is how you overcome it and get to the point where you can bring your mind back to a peaceful state. You can bring your inner world back to a peaceful state. The program is just a combination of the different stories and the unconsciously subscribed beliefs that we hold. It's a lot of beliefs that we subscribe to that exist within our program. We didn't necessarily want to choose to believe, but we've seen evidence. All of these subscribed beliefs that we have came out of evidence. However, you can find evidence for whatever you choose to find evidence for. Just because you found a piece of evidence, or maybe it could have been multiple pieces of evidence, does not mean that that thing is true now, because you can always find evidence that go against what you have already believed. I could be working at a job, and within that job, over time, I could be picking apart evidence from the way my coworkers are treating me. And then I gather a belief, right? And I'm thinking about all these stories and narratives that my coworkers don't like me. My coworkers don't want me there. Now, even though that can be true, the whole thesis of this is, what does it do for your inner world to hold on to these subscribed beliefs, stories, and narratives? What does it matter if that is the case? Does it cultivate a more inner peaceful state for me? If not, then it's not something that I need to download within my inner world. It can still exist. It can still exist. It can still exist somewhere out here, right? Coworkers, don't fuck with me. It is what it is. That can exist out here as a reality, sure, if you believe it to be so. If you've gotten a lot of evidence, even if they told you to your face, right? That's the thing. But it does not need to be downloaded into my mind as something that I need to be continuously paying attention to. The only thing that needs to be held within my mind is feelings of peace, safety, self-love, right? Self-acceptance. That is the only thing that needs to exist within my mind. Anything else does not serve my highest good, does not serve a more peaceful inner world for me. Therefore, I can choose to unsubscribe from that specific program because it does not matter. What you choose to hold in your mind is all based on what you decide. You don't need to hold things in your mind that does not serve your highest good. So a lot of these thoughts, these stories, these narratives, this whole essential program that your mind likes to run on is essentially just because the brain likes to stay busy. All of these stories, all of these narratives, the only thing they're here to do is to keep your mind stimulated, right? Just to keep it stimulated and keep it busy with noise and all of these different tricks that it play on it, to make it believe something that might not actually even be true. A lot of stories and narratives that we hold might not actually even be true. It's a lot of what ifs, but the job of it is to just keep your mind stimulated. As I've previously stated, the job of these thoughts that you don't necessarily control and these stories that you created is because they want you to keep feeding it attention. It's all about what you decide to put your mental power onto, and that can make something a reality. So these stories, they want to exist within your mind. that you created, and your mind starts to get attached to these stories as well. Your mind starts to get attached to these narratives and coming up with even more narratives. It's to keep it stimulated. And I'm not saying there's nothing too much wrong with that. It's okay. But it's just watch what you're downloading into your actual inner world. Your inner world, the only thing that needs to exist within there is feelings of peace, safety, love, self-acceptance, self-abundance. That's the only thing that needs to exist within your actual inner world. So everything else is just noise. Everything else is just noise that you can choose to block out or unsubscribe from. You do not need to run on the program. And once you unsubscribe from the program, what you realize is that rooted within your mind, there has always just been peace. Peace is what you achieve when the program becomes non-existent within your mind. When you stop just caring about these what ifs, these stories, these narratives, the possibilities, when you stop actually caring about them, you get back to just peace. So can some stories be true? Sure. But what does it matter even if it is? Meaning, what does it do for your inner peace? A lot of us have chosen to pretty much fork over our own inner peace in return to get more stimulation and to have a more busy mind. It seems to be busy, right? Seems to have a lot going on, but it all exists within the stories and the narratives that we created within our actual mind. Therefore, we're not even really living our lives. We just living within inside our own heads because we basically decided to trade our inner peace for all of this mental activity. That's not even really true. So there is nothing wrong with letting stories and narratives exist loosely within your electromagnetic field. Beware of what you choose to download into your innerverse. Your innerverse shall always stay rooted within the concepts and the consciousness of the fifth dimension. Most of the programming does not serve your inner peace. If it does not serve your inner peace and your self-worth, how you wish to see the world, that serves your highest good, that serves the best possible manifestations for you, it is useless. Here's all that you need to hold within your innerverse. This is the only thing that you need to hold within your own innerverse, within your own belief system. Consciousness of the fifth dimension. These concepts are the highest frequency stages of awareness that you can operate from within. This is what cultivates inner peace, self-love, safety, compassion, which goes hand in hand with self-love. Acceptance is really love, acceptance, and abundance that matters the most. However, the rest of them you can choose to add into your own, and you should choose to add into your own inner belief system. This is all that you need to hold within your inner world. Everything else is noise. Everything else, the stories, the narratives, the thoughts that you come up with about the past, the present, your coworkers, your family, what these people done did to you, what's possible, the world is ending over here. All of that is just based on programming. All of that is based on just noise, noisy thoughts that don't actually serve your inner peace. So why are we choosing to think about these things and to give them so much of our attention in a way where they start to cloud our own inner peace when they don't even matter? Once you're vibrating on the concepts of the fifth dimension, your inner world becomes absent of the programming, the stories, and the narratives. And once you become absent of them, you start to be able to detach from the programming, and you realize, oh, I just been thinking a lot of just thoughts just to be thinking them, but they don't actually serve me any highest good. Like they don't serve my actual inner peace. And you realize the only thing that you should be holding within your inner belief system that serves you are these concepts. So the program and the stories and narratives, none of them actually matters. All that matters is your inner peace. Now, like I stated before, there's nothing wrong with thinking these thoughts, but keep them from being downloaded into the deep subconscious, which is your inner peace. Keep them just hovering around outer space. All right, you can give them a little bit of attention, but then don't actually start to craft beliefs centered around them, because that's when they can start to get downloaded into your inner world even more. A lot of these thoughts, these stories, these narratives that we come up with, a lot of them are just ideas, or even if it's true, it's like, okay, well, that's true. Okay, cool. Then let it go. It does not actually matter. So what people get twisted is we don't wait for the outside world to hand us our own inner peace. Like the outside world can't hand you any of these concepts. If it does, it's coming from a source that you do not control, which means it can be taken away from you. If it comes from the outside world, it is a false sense of these concepts anyway. We don't wait for the outside world to give us what we really want in our own internal world, because nothing external can give you true inner peace. It comes from being aware of the program, realizing that you always had inner peace. So the inner peace never left you. The inner peace just got clouded by the program that you chose to subscribe to. You chose to give your attention to these narrative stories and thoughts. Why? Because our minds love to be stimulated. So even if it got to come up with stories and narratives and thoughts, all that it is doing is taking away your own inner peace. So what I really want you to take away from this video is to first become aware of the programming that you might have been running on. Become aware of anytime you coming up with stories, narratives, thoughts, and beliefs that don't actually serve your own inner peace. It could possibly be true that your family doesn't love you because XYZ, your brother or your sister, this and that, your mom, your co-workers, the world is ending, this and that. They might be true, sure. Or you might believe that they are true. I'm not even saying if they're true or not. Most of the things within the program, not even true. But let's say that it is something that's true. So what? Your main purpose is to cultivate peace within your own inner world. That is what your soul is looking for. That is what you as your spirit needs to be giving to your soul. When you choose to subscribe to the program of the negative thoughts you might even hold about yourself, that is a choice that you are simply choosing to make. It is not reality. All you have to do is decide to unsubscribe from the program and just get back to truth, which is the fact that you always had inner peace, which is the fact that you always accepted yourself, which is the fact that you always had self-love for yourself. The program made you believe that you didn't because of the stories and the narratives that you might have held about yourself, that society largely puts into your mind. It's not even you doing it. It's society that puts into your mind that you shouldn't accept yourself, that you shouldn't love yourself because of XYZ. The first thing I really want you to ask yourself, or get used to asking yourself, especially as you're thinking all of these thoughts and you're running on all of these stories and narratives that you feel is putting you in a lower vibrational state of being, just simply ask yourself, is my mind at peace? If the answer is no, that means the program is currently taking over right now. And all you have to do is say yes. That's all you have to do is say yes. Like, just say yes regardless. Is my mind at peace? Yes. Why? Because I decided so. All that's happening when I say yes is I'm deciding to ignore the programming for a second and just remember, okay, I am good. Like, my mind is at peace. You decide. You don't wait for the outside world to show you, because it can never show you. You just have to realize that you are already that and unsubscribe from the noise. That is how you control your mind as a highly sensitive person. And you don't even have to be a highly sensitive person. This is obviously for everybody, but I'm a highly sensitive person. I like to cater to my own kind. Once again, I want you to give me my flowers on my illustration that I made here. It's pretty good, right? Like, not too bad. You know what I mean? It's all right for what I was working with. Yeah, whatever. I'll see you in the next one.